All right, I need to hold it down. I haven't held it down.
No, you're fine. The timer's on there. Okay, so can you see me?
Yeah. Yeah, press harder.
I'll do it again.
Why don't you do
This
that?
timer, see, this is the timer and you're recording
I
here.
did.
Oh yeah, fine. So now you're fine.
And then I turned off in 3 times, really.
No. We're starting now, and I'm syncing it up that it's for the sound.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so just yeah.
Hello, Kelly.
How are you?
Can you tell me a little bit about what is the
Ivy Trust.
I was going to say the Civic Trust. Sorry. Hello, Kelly. Can you tell me what exactly is the Ivy Trust?
Well, the Ivy Trust is an organisation that was established in 1890, and it's an approved housing body in today's structure, but it is actually the only charitable institution that is established in Ireland under an act, which is an act of Parliament dating back to 1903. And it was the Guinness family who established this organisation in order to look after people who live and work in the city, because up until the 1890s, the living conditions were deplorable in the city, and they saw that this just was not fit for people who were giving so much of their lives to the city. So they razed to the ground houses that were built right up in where Patrick's Park is, right up against the walls of St. Patrick's Cathedral, and they instituted a beautiful park which still exists there today and is very well used, and that's run by Dublin City Council now. But they also established the Beano, which is in where Liberty's College is, and that was established in 1903, and it was the first ever play centre in the country. There are now estates in Dublin 8. The oldest one is 131 or 132 years old this year, actually, Kevin Street Estate. And there's about 500 apartments there for families and individuals. And then there's an estate in Cork Street and the Bull Alley Estate. We've gone further out into the city. We have senior citizens living out in Rathmines in a place called Mount Anthony, and another one in Anamore Court in Ballyfermot. And there's new estates further afield out in Clay Farm in Leopardstown, Clongriffin in Dublin 13, a new one in Adamstown, some in Swords, and there's a couple more coming on stream soon. So it gives people an opportunity to live in an affordable way within the city. But we also have the men's hostel, which is home to currently 160 men. There's capacity normally, if we weren't in COVID times, for 196 single men. They each have a room, and it's unique in terms of the hostel community because they literally have their own door and they can come and go as they please 24 hours a day, and have privacy and autonomy to live their own lives.
So I had no idea there was so many buildings involved in it. And how is it funded?
Well, they're self-funding, and they would own most of their own estates. However, there is Section 10 Dublin Regional Homeless Executive Funding through Dublin City Council, and we also fundraise. We have some very valuable and much appreciated donors and benefactors, and there is a trust fund that was established by the Guinness family. The current structure of the organisation is that there's a board of directors, and the chairman of the board is the Honourable Rory Guinness of the Guinness family, and there's a couple of Guinness family members on that, but there's also a number of other people with really eminent qualifications that help to lead the organisation in wise access of the money and the resources that are there. There's also the rental income that tenants pay rent, albeit a nominal rent, and there's a new opportunity as well for affordable housing. So there's a percentage for people who are in that middle area that they're not entitled to social housing. They would have an opportunity to rent an apartment for maybe 15 to 22% of their annual income, and so their rental would come across then on a monthly basis for that. So that goes into the pot for maintenance, and we have estate teams that look after the places as well. So they're a support team for all the residents.
And are there any new projects being built?
There are, yes. Well, there's one just about to open in Adamstown, which is out towards Lucan direction. Another one opened very recently in Miller's Glen out in Swords. So there's, different projects coming on stream all the time. The Ivy Trust is very dedicated to looking after the people who do need accommodation, and to be able to do so in an innovative way. And I think what they did back in the 1890s was something that was very, very different and has become a very appreciated model for the whole city. And I think that presence on the estates, some of our staff live on site within the estates, lends itself to a really good sense of community. And that's my role as community officer. So I would look at different opportunities within the organisation, and also in terms of streams of funding for adult education or different innovations.
And is there much interaction between the trust and the local communities that the buildings are in?
A huge amount. I suppose we would have family fun days, and we would have, in Kevin Street in particular, there's a very vibrant, lasting community. Some of them are maybe 3-4 generations living in the estate, so they would have a really strong sense of home and place. The community at large living around the area, which lots of people are related to people living in the vicinity, not just in the Ivy Trust. And I suppose the Ivy Trust is not just about its own estates, it's about the whole community and the well-being of the city. So sustainability is very important. We're looking at that. We have community gardens where people come in and plant vegetables, and children, particularly the Scouts at the moment now, are looking at a vegetable growing project with us. We're looking at taking on about 60,000 new tenants, but they're bees. So we'll be looking at biodiversity, so there'll be plenty of buzz around, and that'll be tied in with the Robert Emmet Community Development Project. We're also part of the interagency work in partnership with Dublin City Council and the Gardaí and a couple of other main stakeholders, including the YMCA, looking at how we can make best use of our green spaces. And one that we're looking at in particular is the Cabbage Garden, which is there since the 1600s. It was a Huguenot burial ground, and it's right next to the Kevin Street estate. And there's neighbours on Long Lane in New Street Gardens, Cathedral View and Kevin Street who really need a space like that to be the best that it can be. So we just got a new pitch there thanks to Dublin City Council, and the City Councillors supported that move for the funding. It cost about €130,000 to renovate it into a really high-class ground, and all the schools are accessing it, and there's key holders in the local community. So it's making best use of that area. And now we're on to the next stage where we're looking at play equipment and some exercise equipment for adults, the big children in us, to have somewhere for us to play.
So it looks like the future is very healthy for the Ivy Trust.
Well, it needs to be. I think there's a space for every organisation to do the very best that it can with the resources that it has. And we have a duty of care to the people within the city to make sure that we do exactly what is needed. There are families who have lived for generations and contributed to life in this city, and regeneration runs the risk of squeezing out those people. And unless there's an affordable option and an accessible option where people are supported appropriately, I think we will be in danger of losing the real personality of the city, that the people who live and invest their time and give their skills over to the city, they have to be supported in that. And there's room for everybody, I think, and we have to make sure that we do the best that we can to do that.
Thank you very much, Kelley.
Thanks.
Very well.
Anything, Kelley, that you wanted to add that maybe we didn't ask?
I don't know. Maya, is there anything? Actually, there's the Mitigating Adult Education Fund, Adult Education Disadvantage Fund. It's an EU fund. So I might just tell you about that, maybe the education, if you want to ask about the Adult Education Project.
Could you tell us a bit about the adult education project?
Yeah. Can you tell us something about your adult education project?
Well, this is a new piece of work that we've been doing for the last year and a half. And unfortunately, it wasn't a great time to start it in the middle of the pandemic, but we were very, very lucky with European funding support. The Mitigating Adult Education Disadvantage Fund was granted to us in 2020 and in 2021. And that gave us an opportunity to open our community spaces for adult education classes that fulfill the needs of the people who want to maybe come along and learn how to use digital technology, or maybe try some art classes and different opportunities like that. So that's an expanding piece of work. It's started slowly, and thankfully now we're face to face again and we're able to meet with people. I think that's something that people have really missed. And when we come back together, the value of learning in a space together where it's nice and warm and cozy and you can have a cup of tea and relax as well as learn something, it creates a different kind of an environment. And I think that transforms the educational journey and also maybe opens doors to things that otherwise would be closed.
Great, brilliant. Yeah.
Thanks.
One question, you don't want to ask